been out to Vegas to play your World Series of Poker, who do you see dressed up in impersonators all throughout Vegas? You see Elvis's all over the place. You don't see any Freddie Mercury impersonators.
It's a cultural issue, Peter. The United States of America idolizing their own, that's all that is. I'm a great fan of the King. Quite understood why he was so popular. I'll tell you something.
Because he's the king. Self-explanatory. You clearly have never been to Graceland.
I have not been to Graceland, no.
You're missing out. Is there a shrine? Is there a home? Does Freddie Mercury, did his home get turned into a museum, a shrine that people from around the world go to visit daily?
Well, just simply watch Freddie Mercury at Wembley during Live Aid. Tell me he wasn't the greatest performer of all time. 90,000 people waiting on his every move and responding to his absolute brilliance. Greatest performer that ever lived.
How about Elvis at Aloha Stadium in Hawaii? Similar sized crowd.
What, were they all shook up?
Loving every moment.
I'm sure they were, but he wouldn't have had a patch in terms of performance, live performance. The voice, the quality, the control of the crowd. Yeah, taken from us far too soon, Freddie Mercury. Down the leg side, giving us a wide. 50s come up in the 13th over. Scotland getting some kind of control back in their innings, and Ahmed Raza just bowling 2 or 3 balls there from slip. That indicates he'll be coming into the attack pretty soon, you'd expect.
All the things I've heard come out of your mouth, Andrew Leonard, this is by far the most distressing. Not giving the king his due respect.
I don't think he's got a patch. Not even in the same league as Freddie Mercury. Really isn't. No one since Freddie Mercury has possessed that power, the clarity, the ability to sing in those 4 different octaves. I don't think King was even able to get to 2. Freddie
He didn't need to. The crowds loved him, bought his records. How many gold, how many platinum records did the King have? How many number ones? Way more than Freddie Mercury. Come on.
Be much more down the lines of Freddie Mercury and Paul McCartney, the Beatles, than any of this Elvis Presley.
Paul McCartney and John Lennon, they said that they were inspired by Elvis Presley to become artists themselves. The Beatles drew their inspiration from Elvis Presley. And if you take a Beatles tour through Liverpool, any tour guide will tell you the exact same thing. The greatest thrill that the Beatles ever had was meeting Elvis, because he was their inspiration.
Barely name you a good song of his, to be honest, Peter. Could name you dozens from Queen and the Beatles, though. Dozens. In fact, we could probably go into the hundreds off the top of my head. Don't think I could name you 3 from Elvis. Quick Single's going to be run. All Shook Up was one, was it? Don't think I can name you another one.
Love Me Tender.
Did he write any of his own songs?
He didn't need to.
Oh,
he was so busy. He was so busy turning.
Don't get me wrong, I loved his lifestyle.
classics.
I love the fact he enjoyed a cheeseburger and a beverage or 2, but hardly a great entertainer.
Have you seen the Elvis movie? I'm guessing no, obviously not.
No interest in it whatsoever.
It is easily the best movie of this millennium, Lenny.
You're saying all this like this one's carved away to the offside. It'll just be a single. The third man can cut it off, which he can. You're saying all this with such sincerity, Peter. There's a real shock in me that you think that Elvis was that good. I know some Americans liked him. I didn't expect you to like him.
Does Queen have their own Sirius satellite radio channel devoted entirely to their music, like Elvis does?
Well, I know the Beatles do.
The Beatles do, yes.
Well, actually, I was enjoying listening to that in Florida when we were getting into the cars.
Elvis does. No, there wouldn't have been You walk into my car in Florida, you get nothing but Elvis satellite radio, channel number 75 on Sirius XM.
I have 2 messages in on social media already. One saying, I never got Elvis either. Don't know what Peter's on about. That's usually what I say. I never know what Peter's on about. And then the second one says that Elvis just stole other people's music. Freddie was an original. The original.
No, Elvis improved other people's music. Elvis made other songs better. Okay.
Poor Peter's the next message I received. We're in the land of the United Kingdom. We're in the land of the Beatles, the land of Queen. And they are some of the original greats.
When I went to
the goats, I think.
When I went to Graceland, you wouldn't believe how many people from Scotland and from the UK came to sign the wall at Graceland at the entrance gates. That's part of the tradition at Graceland. You come to visit Elvis, you sign your name on the wall and where you're from, and you wouldn't believe how many people sign their name from England, from the UK, from China, from Australia, Japan, all around the world. They love Elvis.
I couldn't name you 5 songs of his.
And you know what?
Couldn't tell you 5.
You know what's the most remarkable part of all that, Lenny? Is he never performed a concert outside of America, and yet
his
legend
speaks even greater
grew around the world. The only times he performed is when he was serving in the military, when he was overseas. Okay, but in terms of his career outside of the military,
what was his actual name?
Elvis Aaron Presley. It's a real name.
It's
not a stage name.
It's
not a stage name like Freddie Mercury. He didn't have to resort to that. Elvis. That's his real name. Elvis Aaron Presley. Born in Tupelo, Mississippi. Reading the Who is Elvis Presley book to my daughter last night.
Your poor daughter. Your poor daughter.
She wanted to learn more about Elvis, so I bought her a book. The title of the book is Who is Elvis Presley, and it's geared towards kids, and she got to learn all about Elvis's childhood, Tupelo, Mississippi.
Did she want to learn more about Elvis, or did you want to teach her more?
She wanted to keep going because chapter 2 was Memphis, and it was bedtime, and she said, Daddy, I want to read more, and her mommy said, no, it's bedtime now. You can learn more tomorrow about Elvis, but she was very excited.
Ahmed Raza into the attack from the Sports Buzz end of the ground. The UAE captain showing again he knows the right end to get the key spinners on from. He'll hold Rohan Mustafa back.
Mama Gladys, Elvis adored Mama Gladys. Vernon, his daddy. Mama Gladys was a big part of his life. When Elvis first made his first million, you know what he did? He bought Mama Gladys a pink Cadillac.
Lovely. You're not really echoing or amplifying your argument in any way here, Peter. I still couldn't name you 5 of his tunes. But every single day, the Beatles. Big appeal, thuds into the back pad, given not out. We've seen a lot of umpires unmoved this week. Alan Hago kept that gun in the holster all day yesterday. Finger didn't go up once. What about this one? Mike Burns this time, the English umpire, decides not out.
He was hit quite deep. He was hit on the back leg, and this one, height is the only...
It's not going to matter, because Jones, for the second time in 2 days, has simply given it away to a left-arm spinner. Yesterday, the most extraordinary dismissal you could imagine, with a throw of the bat into the air from Jones and a flick of frustration. Seconds after being trapped on the back leg, maybe height just saving him. Full delivery, he's tried to drive it, and all he can do is chip it straight back to Ahmed Raza. He's a very good fielder. He's never going to drop that.
Well, we've seen a number of these caught and bowl dismissals to spinners on this tour. The ball, at times, just producing a little bit of term to miscue those shots and get them going back to the bowlers. And Ahmed Raza able to do that to finally break this partnership when there was a lot of grinding, a lot of grafting to rebuild after the 2 wickets fell in the first 3 overs. But all that hard work, Jones can't convert a start. Come on, Lenny. Hound Dog, Heartbreak Hotel, Kentucky Rain.
I have heard of Hound Dog, I'm not going to lie.
Kentucky Rain.
So Hound Dog and is All Shook Up one of his?
In the Ghetto, All Shook Up.
Okay, so I know 2 of his songs.
In the Ghetto.
I know 2.
You don't know In the Ghetto?
Never heard of it. We're just going to leave you with one message before we take a break for the drinks break. We'll have a break on air. Great message coming in. Popularity doesn't mean that someone is great. If it did, it means the Spice Girls would be one of the best bands of all time. Drinks break, 54 for 3.